Well, hey everybody, and welcome back. This is Addicted to Loot. I am Brian, or aka Atomic Zero, if you're watching this on YouTube as my common YouTube handle. And of course, I have the honor of being joined today by my fellow loot addict, Tomality. Give it up.
Is that my cue? Hey!
Yes, that was your cue. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I was looking at how it says may contain content inappropriate for children and trying to find a way to make some clever comment on it, but I guess I kind of blew that one.
Hey, oh my god.
So that sort of sums it up in a nutshell.
Of course, yeah, I got my other half here of the Addicted to Loot
What's
addicts,
up, guys?
if you will. And big news. There's all sorts of big news in the gaming world as of last night. If you weren't hiding under a rock, you might have seen the Game Awards. Of course, I was one of those people. I actually haven't seen it, so please stay tuned.
It's really emotional. If you haven't seen it yet, it was surprisingly emotional.
I've read a few things and I've heard a few things. I still haven't done the full recap, but I have heard a lot of the emotional stuff that people were, kind of, not in a negative sense, but just the stuff that people were bringing up. So I am interested in getting into that. And I'm going to say, if you want to know more of our analysis and our reviews of the Game Awards, we will probably be doing a quick summary of it during our podcast coming out later in next week, Friday of next week, depending on when you're watching this video. So please stay tuned for that. But the big thing, at least for me, maybe for you, was, oh my god, it was the debut of the first ever gameplay trailer for Mass Effect Andromeda.
And this cracked me up because
oh my god,
they obviously knew. They saved this for the very last thing before they announced Game of the Year.
I know.
And they knew that, like, okay, everyone's here for this.
And I was paying attention to the Mass Effect Twitter, and they're like, don't worry guys, it's coming on soon. 3 hours later, it's still coming on, don't worry. I'm like, you guys, you bastards. But oh my god, I was so excited for this. I mean, if you've listened to any one of our podcasts, you'll probably know that the both of us are kind of BioWare nuts, especially Mass Effect and Dragon Age nuts, and Tom specifically is the Old Republic nut. But overall, you could just sum that up.
Just a nut.
Yeah, literally. You can probably just sum that up as saying we kind of love most games BioWare puts out.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. But to me, Mass Effect is one of my all-time favorite series, and I am so pumped for Andromeda, and I'm getting more pumped with each and every passing video, because before, especially if you listen to our podcast, I actually had a lot of hesitations when we did our big Mass Effect Andromeda preview, and I'm happy to say that is being replaced by eager excitement as this stuff is coming out. So
That's interesting to hear, because
you're going the opposite way, right?
Well, I'm kind of going sideways. I'm side pumped.
Side pumped. Yeah.
I have been stoked for this. I've been super stoked. I've been hella stoked for this.
Whoa.
And watching this is kind of like, I remain stoked, but I am not really like more stoked. And in some degrees, I'm kind of apprehensive.
So it's almost like your excitement level stayed constant, but the high and the low peak shifted.
Yes, that is a great way of putting it, because that is an amazingly great way of putting it, because what I was excited for, I'm less excited about, and what I didn't really care about, I am super stoked for. What does that all mean? You're about to find out.
Yeah, we have this lovely 5-minute video that you most likely have seen, because I think the views are almost up to 1 million now. But maybe you haven't. Great. Thank you for joining us. We're going to actually take you through the deep end of this, so you may just want to watch it by yourself afterwards to get literally the full-fledged, uncut, uninterrupted sequence of this. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of summarize. We have a few stopping points within this 5-minute video that we're going to take a break and discuss in detail some things that we've noticed, or just some things we just want to speculate on or want to discuss in further detail, which then means obviously this is going to be a much longer than a 5-minute analysis video, which is what I'm hoping you would want from an analysis video. So we'll go with that. But so we're going to let portions of this play. We'll stop and then we'll analyze. So I just want to, since this is such a short video, it's going to seem like we're constantly stopping. Just giving you a heads up. I would much prefer this being on like a half-hour gameplay trailer, but no, of course they're not going to give us that. No, they're just going to keep dandling the steak in front of the hungry dogs as we keep trying to chase the Mass Effect Andromeda train. So,
what a metaphor!
You like that?
I'm here for the steak train.
I literally just pulled that one out of somewhere. So
that one got derailed.
Or maybe a hungry Krogan trying to chase after a female Krogan. I don't know. That's probably a bad one.
Hey, well, have you seen them? All right, let's not beat around the bush
so
here.
To the video, we'll go. I'm gonna play this out, so please enjoy this as much as we did.
Mass Effect Andromeda is the next generation of action RPG.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been drilling over this for a long time now, and
I love that jacket.
We just have to. We have to sit here and talk. Look at this. I mean, look at this. I mean, freaking.
That's literally my favorite Soldier 76 skin from Overwatch. That white blue jacket.
I didn't think about it, but literally, if he had a full,
Yes.
if he had a full helmet, that is exactly what he would look like. But look at the color scheme. Look at the graphics. I mean, it looks like they took the Mass Effect-ness or the N7-ness of the old clothing and just kept on cranking it up till it hit 11. But I do love, or at least one of the things I'd like to point out here is I love the fact that we have a difference between armor and almost I would say like jumpsuit / leather / kind of athletic wear.
Right, sort of protective versus functional. I
Yeah,
guess.
because if you think if you're gonna think about having your heavy tank versus your more agile classes, it seems like they're continuing that while still giving you, I'd say, probably aesthetic control of your character, hopefully. But hey, we just wanted to point that out.
I also really like that they've been embracing the kind of alien style helmets. That's some of my favorite like sci-fi helmet is the open glass face. There are some that they've shown, like the one that's the cover helmet, the default rider helmet has this almost full glass face, it looks like. And I personally love that design. It's a very clean sci-fi look. And Mass Effect has always had that. They've had that clean. It's smooth. It's the Apple of sci-fi, and I dig it. I really like it.
No way this is home.
Brand new epic sci-fi adventure set in a vast explorable galaxy. You are the Pathfinder, part explorer, part soldier, part guide. And it's your mission to find a new home.
So we are the Pathfinder, which is in of itself kind of cool. You're the leader of the human colony of this expedition of different races trying to go out and find a new home in the Andromeda galaxy.
And it seems like not by choice from previous trailers.
Yeah, because you are actually the son and or daughter, depending on who you want to play, of the original Pathfinder, and then you kind of got trained up into it ultimately. But you're this kind of embodiment of a explorer, researcher, and combat specialist, which, hey, cool. Who knows? I was wondering how they're going to spin that whole thing together. But ultimately, going back to the exploration part of this, we just saw 6 different types of planets that obviously there's going to be probably tens of more, I would say, easy.
And who's to say how diverse these planets will be in themselves?
Exactly. I mean, just kind of running through a list, we had a planet that was very much kind of jagged, thundering, had floating rocks everywhere, had colorful, I'd say, fauna and things like that.
Orange fiddleheads.
Exactly. Yeah, good one. Yeah, the yellow fiddleheads. We had a kind of a more of a rundown red planet military outpost. We had
Halo.
Or Halo, yeah, for those who
That's how I
might have
remember
pertained
these things.
to sci-fi shooters in the early millennia. Had your stereotypical lava planet.
Mustafar. Keep going.
You're just this little sci-fi reference Jack Russell popping
I
up
got
in the
a
corner.
million now.
You have your Dune planet. You have literally a massive military base put into a side of a cliff or inside of a chasm. Awesome. And then you have a space jungle, followed by this lovely image you see in front of you, which looks like, I'm not even sure. It just looks like all sorts of fun on a planet. So
Yeah. It's sort of, they're kind of ticking off the boxes. They don't have the ice. They don't have the, wow, what a beautiful temperate forest planet. And that's the Star Wars thing, right? Like, oh yes, this planet is literally 100% desert. That's this planet's defining feature. I have talked about this on our podcast before. I want the science fiction game that has the planets that have climates, that have,
different biomes that you actually
biomes
go through.
that are actual, not just biomes like, okay, this section is snowing, but this section is tropical. I want the equator is tropical. The northern and southern tips are ice caps,
Or
if it's
maybe
going to
they
be an
reverse it,
Earth-like.
depending on how the sun is. You never know. But,
Right.
But yeah, usually I would say for the vast majority of games, even if you look at games that are to such a scale as like No Man's Sky, every planet has its, it has its own climate. It doesn't have numerous climates, it has its own. This is what this planet is going to be. Okay, I got it now. But yeah, to your point, obviously we've only seen literally one pan over of these planets, so who's to say? But I'm going to probably say that only, out of the hundreds of thousands of miles a planet can be, we're only going to be playing on a few of them. Obviously, that you probably won't get the variety that.
Although,
yeah,
because they've introduced basically the Mako again, you're going to be driving likely vast distances. This sort of hits the and this could be a complaint too, but it sort of hits the feeling of MMO zones, right? Where it's like, okay,
I didn't think about that.
And it's no secret to listeners of our podcast that my favorite MMO at the moment, maybe of all time, is Star Wars: The Old Republic. And that actually, I like the way that handles that, because it is like, okay, yes, you've landed on Alderaan. This area may be a temperate forest, but as you head north in the giant MMO zone, it's more snow-based. As you head south, the snow melts. And so this could very likely, seeing as it's a BioWare game, Dragon Age does, Inquisition especially does this. You have, this is your lava planet, but it's not like this entire massive area is going to be rocks and lava. You may have some slightly variated, oh yes, this is the really mountainous part of it, or oh yeah, this is that obsidian flat runoff of the volcano over there, So that's just par for the course for these kind of games.
Yeah, and I'm just excited to see, hopefully, that they do go really out there with a lot of their planets, because I'm hoping they're not just having like, oh, hey, Steve, you design all the planets. Okay, cool, awesome. But, maybe that you'll have maybe you'll have a jungle planet that's absolutely no inhabitants, and then maybe you'll have a jungle planet that's extremely colonized. I would love to see the varieties, as you're stating, in all these. But
yeah, I've got more to say on that in our next segment, for sure.
And also, just as a reminder, I don't know if I said it in the beginning, all of this is our pure interpretation and speculation of the game. None of this is confirmed or denied. Purely our own take on this.
For humanity. But in Andromeda, resources are scarce, worlds are hazardous or outright uninhabitable.
I love that.
Every planet has its own story. On this one, warring outlaw factions fight over every available scrap. You can make new allies or enemies. The choice is yours.
Not too shabby for folk who got kicked off the station with nothing to show for it.
All I see is the trail of bodies they left.
Okay, so we just saw a few things there. Obviously, there's going to be a galaxy map. Obviously, it's going to be pretty. More than happy with that. We have, you're going to be going to multiple different types of planets. They're each going to have their own type of, I would say, planet-based situation you're going to find in each and every one of them. One could be a warring faction. One could be a completely peaceful planet. Obviously, this could potentially be based on the climate that you might be landing on top of. But still, you're going to be flying around in your plane, landing in your shuttle, going around to different places. All of which, seem really cool to me. I do like the fact that each planet could be its own side quest and or side quest. That is...
I almost worry, maybe is a good word to use, that in that regard, because they're saying that, each planet has its own story. Is each planet going to literally have its own beginning, middle, end story, and that's it? Great, I guess I really have no reason except maybe there's a resource on that planet that I need right now, or some story overarching quest. Or is it going to be more of a hybrid where it is you go on that planet, you do that planet's story, but also your personal story, your kind of overarching Andromeda story is going to have you hopping around between them. That's a bit more of a regular Mass Effect thing, so I believe that that's what they would do.
I would say so. I think you're going to have your planets that your story's going to tell you to go to, but then also along the way, you can probably just make pit stops and, oh, what's over here? This one planet seems pretty. And then when you land, maybe you'll find all sorts of side quests. Maybe you find a few. Who knows? But it would not surprise me if any planet that you could then land on has its own side quests.
Right. I think, and this is by design of how the game, obviously, since we're talking about Andromeda, I'm assuming this is spoiler safe for the previous trilogy.
I would hope so.
Okay. Just a heads up to those listening, watching right now. Mass Effect 3 by design, once you go to some of those planets, you're never going back to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, each planet has its own story because the planet may not exist after you're done. However, Mass Effect 2 especially comes to mind, and 1 as well. You could revisit planets for a whole variety of contexts. You know, you could meet someone on one planet, have a loyalty mission on another planet, then have to go back to the first planet for something for them, or completely different things could be going on. You know, they become sort of hubs of activity. There were less places as a result, but there were 100,000 reasons why you'd be on the Citadel, 100,000 reasons why you'd be on Omega. You know, I hope it's like that, because I want to feel like one of the fantasies of Mass Effect is, oh yeah, I'm there. I am there. I'm a resident of this galaxy, and I like that. I want to feel that.
Well, they did state in some of the releases that this is going to be their biggest game, including the previous 3 ones. So this game's going to have have far more content than any one of the previous 3 Mass Effects. So I'm hoping that maybe you have that level of content with far more planets.
That's why it's so weird to hear them say each planet has its own story, because
Yeah.
that makes it sound like it's a complete, okay, check that one off the list.
It's almost kind of like, the Skyrim and or Fallout take on it, where literally you can be walking through a town and find your own set of quests and then go like, wait, what's my main story again?
Right, yeah.
I don't know how far off the beaten path they're going to be willing to take us. Like, is it going to be the main
They don't
story
usually
is just-
do...
You know what I mean? Go on.
Oh, they don't usually do emergent quests. You mentioned Skyrim, where it's the kind of, even if you're between towns, something happens, and you're all of a sudden you're off on completely off, literally the beaten path, like you said. But that's okay. That's how Mass Effect is, and I'm fine with it being a slight bit more focused.
And with that, of course, anything with Mass Effect is races. And oh my god, we have races. We have, from the previous Mass Effects, obviously we have Krogan, Turian, human. We also know we have a Solarian pilot. We have an Asari, I forget, she's almost like a huntress, kind of survivalist.
Seems like a spunky little companion.
Yeah,
She's gonna be fun.
and those are the old races that we know of that have basically joined us in this conquest for a new home. But always, or I'm hoping that the vast majority of races we encounter during our play will be brand new. And I think they've tried to give us that, or at least try to say that in some of the releases. It's kind of interesting because the video you'll see is actually a planet of basically throw-asides or like renegades or vagrants, whatever else you want to call them. And they are old races. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you're going to show me the very first gameplay is filled with old races. Wait, why is this happening? I'm hoping it's just because maybe they're the furthest along because they already had the models. But who knows? I could just be skeptical right there. And
That's a tricky little thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like maybe they're the most polished, so they want to show them because they want to get this gameplay trailer out. But I'm hoping that this is literally just, this is the only planet like that, and we won't see Krogan and Turians that aren't in our party everywhere. That would piss me off.
Yeah, I do want to say I love what they did with the Krogan here, because he's both of actually the Krogan and the Turian. I friggin' love the Turians; they're my favorite race. But the Krogan, they did their homework. I mean, obviously they designed it, but
I don't think they could be any more known on the race.
This is kind of their thing. But they made a Krogan that looks like he's proud to be a Krogan. He's got bones attached to his armor. He
Krogan-fied his armor. Yeah.
He looks like he's the Kylo Ren. Like, I want to be like the cool Krogans.
Why do you have bones attached to your head? Why
It's what the
why
Krogans
don't you
do.
have bones attached to your head?
My favorite game is Mass Effect 2, and they're lore savvy, and I love that. The Turian, I can't tell if this is supposed to be a male or a female. It looks a little bit, this is going to sound really weird, a little bit sexier than Garrus, and I can't.
Is that what your basis is by determining the sex of an alien
Well,
race?
compare that. Yeah, I have some weird fetishes. Don't judge. No, but like looking at, I guess, like the face and kind of just the sleekness in general, the Turian male and female models do look very similar. And maybe, Garrus was pretty distinct and grizzled, but it'd be cool if it was a female. I can't
be
tell.
interesting, but I until I hear it speak, I'm going to stay in the. I'm not actually going to put a vote in. I have my own views, but like I said, until I hear it speak, I'm not going to know for sure.
Right?
But,
yeah. Of course. Who am I to?
But
find it
I mean,
either?
the character models in the Frostbite engine, anything in the Frostbite engine is going to look great, but these look awesome. I do
Oh,
love how detailed everything looks.
Yeah.
Minus
No,
the fact that the human is looks cross-eyed right now. But I picked
we'll get into that in a little bit.
I picked a very interesting spot to actually stop this, but
Yeah.
to be continued.
I also before we go too much further, talking about the races in general, a little bit of a problem that I have with Mass Effect, with the exception of like literally the Thresher Maw, there's no weird, really weird races. Yeah, there's the Hanar. Yeah, the Elcor are a bit offbeat. But everything, including in this completely so-called, new galaxy, everything still has 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. Whether it's a robot or a bipedal organic, it's the design. And yes, I understand that they've tried to kind of branch off. They've showed a little bit of their next enemy type, but it literally looks like the Collectors / Protheans.
Yeah, it looks like giant massive mechs and or other standard races that you're going to be...
crunchy, bipedal, human-looking creatures. And there's a degree of that that's forgivable, but there's also a degree where it's like, I want more weirdness. I want, in general, this applies to everything, the planets and the races. I want a little bit more weirdness. I want the planet that's literally all water and populated with octopus and squid creatures. I want the planet where it's like the Gulliver's Travels thing. I want the planet where everything, the tallest thing is as, tall as your ankle. And you're just like, oh my God, how do I deal with this? I want the thing where it's a planet of Thresher Maw scale, Reaper scale creatures, and yeah. I want the Hanar companion. I want just a little bit more variety, but I do understand design wise why that's a bit tricky. How do you give a Hanar a gun? But you have
just like, you see a cutscene where they're like, oh my God, the ship's under attack. Ryder goes to hand it a gun and just like, where do I put it?
Absorbs it into its
it just like thank you.
Yeah.
It's just floating in it. Could you actually shoot it? Then it shoots through its own stomach and just yes.
This one is having difficulty. But you could also say, all right, so Hanar, what's his name in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Krang, right? Put him in a mech. Put him in a big mech and have him piloting it. Okay, there you go. There's your mech, but it's piloted by a Hanar. Maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know. But everything they've shown so far is familiar. Granted, I'm not really hugely complaining. It's a sort of a fantasy what if for me. I want the Mass Effect with crazy... I want the sci-fi game with crazy scale, where definitely. I feel either massively insignificant or massively powerful, depending on where I land.
More to that to come.
Tell me about Sloane Kelly.
Before joining the initiative as head of Nexus Security, Miss Kelly served in the Alliance with a nearly spotless record.
Nearly?
She was involved in multiple altercations with other officers.
A hothead. Great.
What brings a Pathfinder to our humble port?
Van Terev. Name ring any bells?
What's he to you? And don't lie to me.
Just point me to where you're holding him and there won't be any trouble.
There won't be.
Drop it, now! You first.
Get out.
So, Tommy, dialogue.
Okay. Here's the part where I have just baskets of problems. And I don't usually like being hypercritical of things in general, of games, of Mass Effect. My God, the idea of being critical of Mass Effect. But this game is a franchise near and dear to my heart, so I feel like I've got at least a little bit of a horse. I got a pony in this race. I've got a miniature pony in this race. I've got a couple of problems here. I don't quite know where to start. I guess I'll start with the biggest one that actually is making waves around the internet today, which is a lot of people looking at Ryder and saying, what's up with her face? There's
or lack
something,
thereof.
Yeah, there's something that just feels unfinished in her facial animations. And to maybe their credit, BioWare instantly, sent out a tweet saying like, "Oh yeah, no, this isn't done. We're still working on this." But why? That's almost. I don't know if it's a cop out. I don't think it's a cop out. I think they are truly still working on it. But why would they show something like this in knowing that people would be doing exactly what we're doing and breaking down second by second of the trailer and be like, "Oh, by the way, that's not quite complete." Her face just didn't. If you didn't catch it the first time around, it's almost like her mouth is running on like 10, and literally the rest of her muscles are running on a 1.5.
Like someone just kind of Botox when they literally have no emotion in them.
Yeah, and it just I know that they've upped their animation game. They've they in one of the early videos they were showing the Asari companion being really expressive and stuff, but it doesn't quite work. And it doesn't even. It's not like it doesn't work in the uncanny valley way. It's like this looks like stiff animation.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, like you said, that it's literally just in process stuff. And even if you contrast the same scene that these two women are talking together in,
well, that's the thing.
One looks much better, and the other one looks very flat.
Yeah, I always thought this was really interesting in Mass Effect 2. I always thought Jacob was remarkably more detailed than
anyone else.
A lot of other humans. Like you put him and Miranda side by side, and it's just
Miranda always looked like she was kind of like, how much plastic work can I get done?
Yeah, she looked like her character. I'm perfect. I've been made to be perfect, but as a result, I've lost all muscles in my face. But that's okay because she's got stuff elsewhere. Oh, anyway, but you're exactly right. Seeing this woman right here on the screen, she's very expressive, and even like in the sense that you can see how she's being reserved or not forthcoming with information as per this cutscene kind of dictates. But Ryder I was surprised. I was like, this is your character. This seems a little bit potato faced. It just wasn't quite all there. Going on, this is almost a complete rehash or rehash / mishmash of meeting Arya on Omega and your introduction to Thane, both from Mass Effect 2. Yes, I know it's a sci-fi thing to have the slatted windows, the kind of noir slatted windows. Yes, I know. I'm the sassy person that's in charge of this planet. What are you doing? Or, pirate captain or whatever this woman is. And what are you doing coming to me? I don't trust you. I'm cantankerous. Yeah, I know that those are tropes. I know that those are cliches, but this is literally almost word for word a rehash. And that's fine. That's okay. That's cool. As someone who is a feverish story nut, I'd like to see them go in a couple of different directions. Mass Effect 2 was kind of famously family issues, the game. Literally every loyalty mission was related to someone's family, specifically their father. Yeah. I don't know if that was an intentional theme or not. If it was, kudos. You guys nailed it. This also seems like, I don't know. Here's the dialogue. You can say the 4 things, and you got a chance for a pseudo renegade interrupt. But as you brought out before, this is not a renegade interrupt, and that's kind of cool. It just literally comes up and says, "Press this button to disarm."
Yeah, if you want to. I mean, you still have the choice to do the quick time, but ultimately, like you said, there's no indicators. There's no indications of whether something's good or bad. It's just you have options, and those options do things to your storyline. It doesn't actually make you a renegade, doesn't make you a rogue, it doesn't do anything to you. It just, they're the same thing. Renegade or Paragon, which is kind of cool. I do like that direction. I do like the fact that you don't have to be like, oh, well, if I always want to be good, I got to pick the option I don't want.
Yeah,
darn it.
And it's going to, feed my ultimate decisions have to have like a 99% renegade or 99%
Exactly.
Paragon.
So I do like the fact that they did get away from that.
Yeah, it's also good to see, what is that, the Carnifex? I think that's the Carnifex gun. It's good to see that back. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, in super detailed fashion.
Yeah, it's like the quintessential Mass Effect gun. Like, I think that's the one that you pull out.
Always start out with.
And you pull it out in every cutscene, even if you don't own it. Shepard pulled it out. But yeah, I don't want to bang on too long about it. Maybe they're improving it, maybe not. But I was just kind of caught off guard at how this whole sequence seemed, as someone who literally could play Mass Effect just for the dialogue and be happy.
No, I hear you. And moving on.
Or I'll put you down.
These worlds are big, so for the sake of time, we're going to speed up our adventure. There are many paths to follow on this planet, and you'll need everything at your disposal to survive. Whether it's a six-wheel drive Nomad, which protects you from hazards
I'm
and
all
enemies,
about that.
or the scanning and analysis tools to help you interpret everything you discover.
Look for anything that might lead us to the killer.
The tracks make it look like an ambush.
Fits the Rokar profile. It's a start.
Angar and blood. Matches your Rokar.
The next big thing that's kind of been dropped in this video is this minus the open world travel. We're not going to hash too much on it. It's open world. You get to drive around in a car. Woohoo! But anyway, the thing that we actually want to talk about here is this tool, this big orange box of a tool, which is your investigation tool, which is very intriguing, but depending on how they're using it, could be either a bummer or an extreme new level of detail inside the game.
I'm tentatively stoked.
Yes, exactly. That's probably the best way of saying this, because who's to say that this scanner is only going to be used in certain side quest missions? Or is it going to be a scanner that you could literally be 99% of the time you have it out, literally like, hey, Ryder, can you put that stupid thing off of me? I need to see if your face says anything. Like,
yeah, right.
And as you said earlier, maybe this is a way that you go through the world finding your codex, your hidden Easter eggs, your gems, your collectibles. Maybe it's a way, instead of going like, oh, you found a relic, please read the relic. You found a codex.
One thing that I missed the first few times around were those little icons that are right below the kind of orange box here. The first one, that AI, that's the Andromeda Initiative. You can see that right on Ryder's shoulder there. And it's got a 0, and then there's something that says JEC with a 0, and there's something that looks like it's a kind of a runic logo, but it also has a 0. What is that? Is that specific to what you're doing here? Is this in general a mission-specific thing? Like, yes, you are now doing the investigation mission on this planet. That is the one where you use this scanner. Or is it something that you could pull out at any time? What purposes does it serve?
Are those zeros, are they indicators to resources? Are they indicators to like reputation? Are they indicators to the evidence is pointing one way or the other? Like, who knows? Maybe it's like, oh, the Andromeda Initiative really wanted to know that Krogan have 2 left feet. Budding, and your number goes up. Who knows?
Is it a research sort of mini game that's going on, or a meta game that's going on? Also, the other thing that cracks me up, this has nothing to do with anything, but looking at how the scan complete and deceased Krogan is all perfect for us, the viewer, the over-the-shoulder viewer. But from Ryder's perspective, it's like, it's going to be a really awkward floating box.
I can't bend my arm enough to make it flat. Why is it doing this?
It's the problem of the third-person game that has to relay information in a first-person way.
Yeah, like maybe you can say that this is like breaking the fourth wall, and like she's seeing this in her helmet, but we're just seeing what she might be seeing.
Is that what my armor looks like? Wow, that's awesome. But yeah, so this could have some potential for being something interesting.
And with that, we finally get into what everyone's coming for, which is the battling.
Theory, Reyes.
The combat.
Keep scanning. We need hard evidence.
In a dangerous alien galaxy desperate for resources, conflict is inevitable. But you'll have access to futuristic weapons, gear, and powers to help you in your fight for a new home.
Yes, please.
Yum, 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 yum. Yes.
So combat.
Ooh, buddy, that's a heap
Wow.
of joyful stuff.
Woo! This is,
Yeah.
I have a feeling this is probably where your excitement indicator has risen to a high.
Yeah, so this is what I was saying at the beginning, where it was like, I was coming in like, yes, Mass Effect, the game that's got really good dialogue and story. What a joy that is. Combat, I sort of deal with that. This whole trailer, I mean, I could safely say at this point, flipped that around. Like, I want to play that game. That looks fun.
there is so much going on there. I mean, obviously there's a new combat interface, but that's nothing new. Every single Mass Effect game has changed. Every single one has had them like, let's just wipe this out of the box and let's just start over.
And
Does it kind of
also-
look seriously, like kind of eerily similar to the previous one? No, shut up, Steve.
Also, if it wasn't obvious, this is definitely the video, the PlayStation version. So that radial menu may not exist in the PC one, but besides that, even just your straight up HUD that you're looking at right there, that's different from 1, 2,
Very
and
much
3.
so. You know, we're out of the old kind of just literally a giant floating rectangle on the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
We're at much more, I'd say, a sleeker Andromeda-esque user interface.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the ability well is new, but like you said, that could be specifically on the controller. We have, of course, this little video, I would say, and you brought this up, is that this video is kind of, I would say, showcasing more of what you would probably call the Vanguard of old, where it has...
Yeah, this
it's
looks
very-
like the updated Vanguard class.
It
for
looks
lack
like it's
of
a
better word.
biotic mixed with close combat and heavy weapons. Really, that'd probably be what I would say this is. I mean, you have that biotic ability where it's kind of that warp attack, kind of like, oh, I'm going to point this at an enemy. Now I get to phase through whatever and come out the other side and punch him.
Right.
You got that. You have kind of like that biotic riot shield is what I was calling it, where you put up a shield and you can just like walk forward into some guy's face, shoot him up. I mean, that was really cool. I don't know. It has to have a health on it, or like maybe it decreases your power and the longer you hold it, so it can only absorb so much damage. But the other thing is, and this is probably one of the things that we're more excited with, is, well, melee is far more fluid. It's not just like this big cutscene every time you kind of cut somebody. But also, we're not locked into cover-based fighting anymore. That's a big one.
It's really interesting. To play the games as you did back to back. That must have been a really interesting experience. Like 1, 2, and 3, just they kind of slingshot the combat. It's like 1's got its own thing going on, 2's got its own thing going on, and then 3 basically was where they felt like they honed it in. They went a little bit more in the Gears cover-based route. I liked it. I really liked the way that 3 felt to actually, of the 3 games, that was my favorite one to play. Where the other ones were like, yes, I'm here for the experience, but 3 was like, oh my god, yeah, ramp up the difficulty. This is going to be great.
But do you like the fact that now you can be mobile or cover-based? We'll see that later in this game.
This blows it out of the water because I am here for this mobility.
I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, the other one of the bigger things that struck with me on one of the press releases that there isn't a class system per se. Like, before it's like, please you start new character, choose your class. This is your class for forever. You actually have the point of, I think you start out with basically a blank slate, and you can choose from all these different abilities and skills and basically hone your own class. Like we said, this is a close range melee biotic heavy gunner, but maybe you could make a cover-based soldier that just has grenades and stuff like that. Or
well, it's been my dream to have the infiltrator mixed with the adept. So it's like kind of what you're seeing here, but to be able to snipe. And then the coolest thing that he does is when he looks up at the kind of sniper's nest and warps right up to it.
Yeah,
like
that
how
would be pretty
awesome
sweet.
that would be.
And I think that's what I'm excited about. This game lets you do that, which is awesome. I mean,
I also want to point out, it's really interesting. I didn't notice this, but because you're frozen on this frame, that's an N7 gun that he has, or an N7 emblazoned.
When you look at
gun.
that, it is an N7,
Yeah.
which would make sense because this initiative is launched from Earth or from the original galaxy,
Right.
Midway between ME2 and ME3. So the N7 program would have been well on its way. But
Right.
I guess
I wonder if it's a cosmetic or if it's literally like, yes, this is an N7 standard issue. I can't remember the name of that gun offhand, but that
the
is
grenade
one
launcher.
from-
Now look at the image down here. It
Oh,
does
yep.
look
It's got
exactly
the
like the
strip.
one you get to choose in Mass Effect 2 or 3.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's cool.
that's kind of interesting. I mean, because you think about it, races and weapons would basically be the two things that you would carry over from the previous one because of the way that the Andromeda program worked or was set up.
Right. And again, not to keep harping on this, but it would be so great if you landed on a planet and it was just like the aliens were so out there and so advanced that you're like, oh my god, my
That
weapons
gun's pointless. Like,
is literally pointless. Yeah, I'm at these guys. They're so far developmentally beyond conventional weaponry.
but I wonder
They
now that I'm
exist
looking at
as
this.
ethereal beings instead, or something.
And here's another thing. Since I'm stopped on this screen, I'm curious if we're only ever going to have access to 3 abilities at any one time.
Well, it might be a quick bar kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, it could be a quick bar since this is controller based. I'm hoping
Yeah.
it's not, because I love the fact that you could just pop up your screen and choose any one of like 7 or 8 abilities.
Yeah.
But with that, to the next stopping point, considering we're making a 5-minute video already 40 minutes.
Well, massive.
good point. Just like the
Though
game,
you start
this
out
is
with the
extended.
ship and the Nomad, almost everything else you need, you'll have to find, steal, or craft yourself. And that's critical to your survival. These worlds have many dangers, from environmental hazards to hostile wildlife.
Uh-oh.
So that's a very angry monster. But we saw a few things there.
Man,
One
get a
thing that we
tic-tac.
One thing we forgot to mention is the fact of there's a jetpack now. There is a jetpack. That is one of the bigger things. That allows you to explore, allows you to get the higher spots. This opens up a whole new slew of things, considering you couldn't jump before. So this is a huge, if you will, leap and bound over the previous one.
Oh boy, that joke was exhausting. Anyway, they announced that with one of the earlier pseudo gameplay trailers, and they only just showed it using for like platforming. But if this game is following the kind of BioWare trend of what Inquisition did and be these open world exploration things, that's going to be a friggin' dream to have. Like, it probably will be. Yes, you have to use this to reach certain parts, but also in general, like. I wouldn't play No Man's Sky without the jetpack. You just have to have some of these. It's a quality of life thing.
And there is now a crafting system to Mass Effect, as opposed to just a buying system, which is big. I mean, we do know there's going to be resource collecting. That's more than just sending probes to a random Uranus. So, which is going to be interesting. And even the fact that there's lithium on there, anyone who is one of those, this is just No Man's Sky skeptics, well, lithium is probably one of the bigger cases for that. But,
yeah,
I mean, you have all sorts of different types of crafting potentials here. There is, you start out with everything unlocked, and then you basically just collect the resources to build into them. Or is it going to be, as you explore planets, you unlock new type of technology, like, ooh, we just met this new race. This new race has this type of looking gear. We can use that to our advantage. And now, like, oh, now you have a different type of crafting ability. And we also saw some kind of mobile something or other drop down on the planet. They don't actually say what it does. It drops down from the ship that you've been using.
It's like a mining probe kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be a probe. It could be a mobile storage unit. Who knows? It's something. And
I do want to say on the crafting, as someone who loved Inquisition's crafting, I got way too into that. I'm excited for this. I also really like the look of what they call the Pathfinder Sentinel chest.
Yes,
the one that is wearing there with he or she is wearing there with red and black kind of straps around the shoulders. It looks a little bit, Mad Max, like Mad Max by way of Mass Effect. It's sort of this patchwork, just thrown together, cobbled together looking thing. I like that. I was talking earlier about how I love how clean and crisp Mass Effect is, but I also like it when they do things that are a little bit crunchy, because they do it really well.
And I actually do. I mean, this looks a lot like my Shepherd back when I always did the red and black kind of N7 color scheme.
Yep.
But the other big thing to highlight here, and you might be able to guess this purely from the freeze I'm stopped on, we have sync kills now.
You betcha.
I mean, and boy, are they amazing. I know it's not anything to really harp over, but I love the fact that they implemented sync kills. This is great.
It makes dying a little bit more tolerable.
Now, I hope that they give you sync kills for your rider. We haven't seen that yet. We've only just seen basically explosions.
Well, it's like you said, when he was doing the melee, he or she is doing the melee, there wasn't that anymore. So maybe there are for like certain kind of finishing move-ish things, like a stealth takedown.
But as you can tell, there's going to be varying different types of, I would say, environmental enemies in terms of the creatures. You saw little tiny ones that you fought there, and also this massive, very angry-looking one.
Yeah, this is a bit more what I'm talking about. This guy's delightfully weird.
We also saw some kind of like flame-based drone, as well as a few other things. So we even see that we will have tech options too for any one of those people who wanted to be a tech Mass Effect character.
I also love how he's just putting his foot up in his teeth, like, no,
Please, for the love of God, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there.
Bad touch, stranger danger.
Whoever invented the flamethrower, I love you.
Also, there's some little quest things in the corner, so that's cool.
You got your biotic pull, of course, freeze ray, and of course, Tommy's favorite.
Yeah! Oh, yeah!
And there was just so much that went on there.
Yeah, that was a montage of joy.
We have basically a deployable cover. We have a biotic maybe or tech flamethrower. There seems to be some kind of like lightning arc ability. We have got our old biotic pull and frost powers of old. And then for all of those who love to play, as you would put them, like infiltrator.
Yeah, the infiltrator.
The cloak and snipe ability, of course. And I do love the headshot. I mean, how can you not love a headshot? But
oh yeah. Well, they stopped the music too. It's just like
I know. It's like they wanted to make sure you're watching this, and I actually do like the fact that it seemed like the sniper rifle was constantly. It didn't seem like there was any sway in it, which I actually would prefer if the sniper rifle had some kind of sway in it. But who knows? Maybe that could be an ability or something. But
scripted thing.
As you can tell in the giant flashing letters at the very end there, the ultimate goal of this game is that you're looking for a potential new home. And I think that brings up a lot of questions of, does that mean that, like, at the end of the day, we explore every planet, then there's, like, the final mission is, like, choose one, and that gives you your own personal touch? Or is it literally going to be, there's one planet that fits, it's at the end of the main quest line, it's always going to be there, and, that's just ultimately the driving force of why you're even doing all of these little quest lines.
The problem is I could see them doing both of those. I mean, either one,
I mean, I can tell you for damn sure, if there's a kid that tells me to choose a planet, I'm gonna scream.
Yeah, I think I feel like it would be very Mass Effect of them to say, okay, you've been all over the Andromeda Galaxy. Which one will we settle on, Ryder? And for some reason, you specifically, are going to be the one who decides the future of literally everybody.
And then the Reapers show up because it wouldn't be a Mass Effect game without Reapers.
Oh, we're going with that ending of Mass Effect 3. Okay.
It's Shepard riding a Reaper like a horse, just, woo!
I'm sorry, guys. It just seemed like an awesome idea at the time. And again, we've, recently learned that this is technically a standalone game. This is not the beginning of a new trilogy or anything.
This is literally going to be it. There won't be a Mass Effect Andromeda 2. This is its own...
I mean, who's to say that there won't be spin-offs within this universe,
That is something they said, that there could be other Andromeda-based games, but there won't be another Ryder storyline.
Right.
This is it. And always there is 2 Ryders, and we don't know if we've just seen all the females version, or is it going to be literally carbon copy just with a male voice? Who knows?
Right. Likely. Very likely.
I would say very likely.
Logistics-wise, likely. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel a little bit better than I did when I started with our recording here. But it's not that I'm not excited. Oh my God, this is my most anticipated game right now. There's nothing else that's coming out that I'm as excited for as this. However, there were a couple of things in this that made me kind of temper my expectations. Maybe that was intentional. It kind of dialed me back a little bit of like, oh, okay, no, wait, this is literally just another Mass Effect game. Okay.
Yeah, it actually makes it tangible. It's actually just not some floating idea in the sky anymore. It's like, oh, I kind of know what I'm getting.
I will admit that before the reveal, I was a little bit apprehensive because I remember when Dragon Age Inquisition was first revealed, and it was like, whoa, this is very different. And they actually stylistically did dial it back to look more like Origins and Dragon Age 2. Because when they first came out, it was doing this like over-the-shoulder, almost Dark Souls-y, like really action-based. Oh my God, you're awesome. You swing a broadsword. And I was like, oh, that's not Dragon Age to me. That's not the game that I'm here for. But this is just like it's an incremental upgrade. It's graphically much better. It looks like the mobility is a huge improvement. The combat looks like it's an absolute joy. So I'll take it. I'm stoked.
I'm super excited for this. Like I said, this has just ramped my hype meter even higher. I'm so excited for this game. My main takeaway is keep it coming. I want to see more gameplay. This has been freaking amazing.
Absolutely.
And I know you agree with me. This is going to be awesome. But we're glad that you stuck with us for this entire video. It's been a blast. I know you could probably say, how could you make an hour's video out of 5 minutes? We always find a way. That's what we give you here at Addicted
That's kind of our thing.
that is the Addicted to Loot way, and we're more than happy to serve you. And obviously, the main video will be linked in the description. Please go check it out if you already haven't. Yep. But I have been Brian, aka Atomic Zero, and as always, I've been joined by my lovely Loot Addict partner.
That's me, Tom, at Tomality on Twitter. If you want to follow me on there, I basically just talk about video games.
Which is basically what both of us do. So, thank you for joining us, and please, have a good one.